Thank you, everyone. Looks like we have just about everyone here. Sorry for the delay. It being 7:01, I'd like to call the December 17th meeting of the Capital Planning Committee to order. Before we begin the agenda, I just have a statement to read as to us conducting the meeting online. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.chelmsfordma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so by accessing Chelmsford Telemedia website at www.chelmsfordtv.org. This meeting is being video recorded tonight by Chelmsford Telemedia, and it will be rebroadcast at a later time. If anyone wishes to participate or speak, please do so using Zoom. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. So in preparation for tonight's meeting, I want to thank everyone for submitting their worksheets to me. That helps us develop a baseline from where we go. I also, what I did is I used everyone's worksheet responses to compile a short Excel file, and any of the projects that receive 4 or more positive votes for funding are included in the funding column. But like I was explaining in the email, it doesn't mean the project will be automatically funded. That's what we're here for this evening. I encourage you to ask questions. You're welcome to make comments on any of the projects. So I thought to make it easier, similar to what we've done in the past when we've met in person, we have that worksheet to assist us. So Darlene's actually going to share that. It's a small Excel file, and if everyone's fine, we can go through and we can begin just working down in numerical order. And I'll have a few updates just to provide you if anyone wants to ask questions or anything. Working down from the top, the first project.
John, before you start, have you heard from Mike Curran at all? Is he joining tonight?
As far as I know, he was planning to, Paul. I didn't.
Okay. Is somebody watching the waiting room to see if he's trying to get in?
Yeah, let me just see if he's.
Because Jay Lang is trying to get in. He's waiting.
Okay, one moment.
I got a text from Jay.
For some reason, this is Pete. For some reason, Lori Lang, who I assume is Jay, cannot seem to join. I've let them in a couple of times. I'm not sure what's going on with them.
Okay, let me. Pete, this is John Souza. I just clicked on Lori Lang. I'll try it again.
Yeah, there's something weird with
okay.
with the Langs because I've let them in as well.
Okay, Paul, just to answer your question, I don't see Mike in the waiting room.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I've sent Jay a message letting him know you're working on trying to get him in.
Okay. What I'll do, we'll start with some of the other projects being in, we won't, I'll try to we'll hold off till later in the agenda discussing the school ones, just so until Dr. Lang's able to join. The first project, just to give everyone an update on, is the door security system. So I had an opportunity to talk with Ted Luter, our IT director, and if you probably recall from Ted's presentation, the police station is one of the buildings that had the most critical need on that. In speaking with Ted, he felt that the police station, that could be the security system there could be upgraded for $50,000, and it was acceptable to him if we were able to split this project, 50,000 for FY22, and then he would submit a request in a later year for some of the other buildings that are on the original project sheet. So just for the committee to keep in mind, that's something we could reduce that funding level to 50,000, and with the understanding that Ted would submit, for the other buildings in the next year for fiscal year 23. And then in reviewing some of the comments from the members, a lot of people had similar comments. So project 3, the senior center car, and project 8, the library truck replacement, pretty much everyone's understanding for not voting for those was that if we approve the hybrid vehicle project, which is number 20 under facilities, both the senior center and the library would receive a, use the term hand-me-down, a vehicle that's been repurposed. So based on that purchase, so facilities would basically repurpose vehicles for those other departments. Also working down the list, the library retaining wall, I will have to check to see if Gary Persichetti, our DPW director, is with us this evening. I believe I saw him earlier. I did a little more research with DPW, and the one bit of information that I wanted to convey to the committee is, although I see the need for that project, it was deferred from last year. The issue there is, excuse me, I just believe Mike's into the waiting and it was just admitted. The issue with the library wall is that, and Gary can maybe provide more information to this, is when that wall is disassembled and basically, taken apart and that to be replaced, it really needs to be done in conjunction with the sidewalk and the parking lot, because when you start to excavate the area near that wall to replace it, it's going to create issues. Now, Gary, if you want to speak to that.
Sure, I'd be more than happy to. This project not only has been looked at numerous times. Steve Yonley, our assistant DPW director, has had a couple of meetings out there with Becky. They had a firm in to look at it as well for a redevelopment of the parking lot and to see if any more spaces could be added, and maybe a slight change to the entrance of it at the same time. So in doing that, talking to Steve, number one, it really doesn't make sense to do one without the other, because they have to link together. One of the issues, of course, everyone's been talking about is the fact that, the wall to the end is so short that you can drive off. People have driven off with the front tires. Someone has driven right into it by crossing the street. So the suggestion that we have that would make the most sense would be to let the retaining wall stay as is for this year again, by stops, and put the stops down, even though we know they're a bit of a pain for plowing. So that'll take care of the front of the car can go over it, but the tires would be stopped by the stops. And then our thought was, if you moved the parking lot and pavement up 2 years, because it's now in the capital plan for FY26, if we move that to 24, we believe that we can get through that with the wall, with maybe a couple of minor repairs for short money, and put the two together. And that would be our recommendation.
Thank you, Gary. Any committee members have a question for Gary or want to discuss the wall? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. If I believe Dr. Lang was able to join the meeting. I saw his name come up. Well, we have, Gary, another project just to go move further down is a number of committee members voted for the pickup truck, which is project 16 for 50,000. In talking with Public Works, and Gary's welcome to explain. It was explained to me that the need for the Parks truck, which is project 18 for 75, is actually in worse condition than the pickup truck. So just want to ask the committee to keep that in mind when we make our final deliberations, a vote, is that Public Works is ranking the Parks truck number 18 at a higher need.
John, if you don't mind me speaking for
Sure.
1 second. In today's storm, we had 6 breakdowns. One of them was the Parks truck that did go down. So the need is becoming even more critical for that. As I had said, the pickup truck has been on this list for some years, but this is the first year that it's ever come up, because this is the year that we asked for it. With a Parks truck, this is, I believe, is year 3, and it's been passed over a couple. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gary. Any committee members have any questions for Gary at all? Okay, not seeing any. Just as we're working our way down, I skipped over the fire department projects as we're moving down the list. One thing I wanted to mention as I was going over some of the worksheets that were submitted is project number 12, which is the staff vehicles. Just to explain, I know the fire chief, Gary Ryan, may have mentioned this in his presentation. Just wanted the committee to be aware that I had received contact from the chief that the 2008 vehicle mentioned in the project sheet has actually experienced a significant transmission problem. So my thought is if we're able to fund even one of those staff vehicle replacements, that would greatly assist the fire department, because as it is, and if Chief Ryan's in the waiting room, he can speak to this if the committee wishes to hear from him, but that 2008 vehicle, just from a financial, if I look at it from a financial standpoint, the chief's going to look at it from an operational standpoint. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to pour more money into that vehicle at this point. But
Hi, John, I'm available if you need to. I can talk a little about that. We did have to put close to 3,000 in for a new transmission, and we got the vehicle back this week. There is something going with the fuel system. The vehicle has been sent back out of the air filtration system. So it's going to be 3,000 plus. I don't know what the cost is going to be. The truck, the 2008 has been sent out. So we're sinking quite a bit of money into this vehicle. So I would appreciate whatever the committee can do for us.
all right, thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Any questions for the chief from the committee?
Roughly how much money would one vehicle cost? Would it be a third of that?
The hybrid vehicle that we had quoted was 61.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then moving down the list, we're now down into the facilities area, and then now down into the school area. I also had, you recall at the last meeting, Dr. Lang had indicated that he would look into the project for the Westland School, which is detail project number 27 for 227,700, and look to see if there was any other, revolving funds that may be able to use, may be able to be applied to that to defray the cost. And Dr. Lang has been in communication with me this week, and he had contacted me, and if he would like to speak on it, that would be fine. But just to explain to everyone, he did a proration of the student population that uses the Westland School, and there's the CHIPS program, which, if you're not familiar with it, stands for Chelmsford Integrated Preschool, and then the community ed program. And so when Dr. Lang looked at the student population use of the building, he felt that it was justifiable to allocate about a 1/3 cost of the project to community ed. So that would be 75,000. So that will help defray that project number 27, the cost of that. So if we could ask Darlene to enter 75,000 down in the bottom under as a negative under childcare revolving fund. We can keep that in mind as other revenue, based on Dr. Lang's analysis of that. And if he would like to speak directly on that, if the committee would like to hear from him, that would be fine.
You said it fine, John. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I just had to try to find some way, some type of an allocation that we could justify to be able to access and utilize the revolving fund for a piece of the project. And when we look at the student enrollment program between CHIPS and ComEd, the uses within the building, it's basically about a third that we could justify, and I'd feel comfortable with utilizing the revolving fund for. So that's where the 75,000 comes from.
Thank you. Any questions for the superintendent from the committee at all? Okay, great. Thank you. So then we also, well, we're in the school area, project number 23. I just want to mention that DPW and facilities directors have been looking at all of the projects, just kind of going through, trying to refine the costs. And the door hardware project, our DPW director feels he has been in contact with the vendor and feels that project amount could be reduced 50,000, and he would still be able to complete all of the work to those 3 school buildings. So if we make a note of that, that would reduce that to 547. So if the committee is okay, if we asked Arlene to reduce some of the projects that I spoke about, would anyone like to comment on any of the proposed reductions at all? Okay, so Darlene, if you could make that 547. And then that one would be reduced to 152,700. 152,700. Great. And then the other one, if we go back up to the top, sorry to bounce all around, if we go back up to the top and make the IT door security value 50,000. And just looking to see the other, if we were, and then the other one that would be the retaining wall, if the committee is willing to defer that, and so that can be done in conjunction with other work, that would reduce that one to 0.
And if we defer it, you said
If we
it would
defer
be
it.
24, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
24. Okay,
No, it would be
No.
2025.
25.
Yeah, we're gonna move up the parking lot 2 years and move this back to match it and get them both done in the same time, so that
Got
we
it.
can get
Okay.
the economy of scales. Sorry, thank you.
And one suggestion that Public Works had is if there is a problem with vehicles, like either slipping out of gear or just driver operator error driving off, they could look into doing a temporary install of the curb, it's like a concrete curb stop. Gary may have the exact term for it, but just to prevent some operator error, or if a vehicle did slip out of gear, which would be rare. I think most of them have probably been operated. Oh, Jay has one moment. Let's see.
John, I have a question about the library retaining wall, just being the library liaison, but
Sure.
just a big problem that we've discussed a lot is the fact that it's falling apart. It's not just people driving off it, but like kids going on bikes and it crumbling into the road. I'm waiting a couple, talking about 2025. That's a long time from now. So is it really going to hold up for that long? to wait for the sidewalk project? And then what's the cost going to be at that point? You know, is that going to be under the library budget, or is that going to fall under DPW? Is that going to fall under, I don't know. I just,
I
you know,
can answer.
wonder if it's going to, if we can wait.
Sure, I can answer that for you.
Okay,
First of all, it would fall, stay under the library, but it would be added to the parking lot. You'd be adding 70,000 to the 176 to the parking lot itself and making it a joint project. So that's where the funding would be. It would be one project altogether. The problems we've been having with the wall are not structural, and I know exactly what you're talking about a little of it here and there and a little of it there. And actually, the cost for those repairs have been minimal compared to what it would be. The problem with the wall originally is usually they too thin. So they don't only put the block or the brick or whatever they're doing right across, they put members that go into the sand, into the wall the opposite way. So you'd be going horizontal as well as vertical. And that wall doesn't have it. And the main reason for wanting to really back it all up and do it together is, I believe Becky spoke to this at the last meeting, the fact that we have the pole in the street that can't be moved because nothing went on the ground and the sidewalk's not wide enough. So we will be moving that wall back. We'll be doing it all at once, and then we'll be able to put up either a proper guardrail or maybe something even more beautifying than a guardrail at that point in time, because the redesign will give you the possibility of doing that. We talked about if we put a guardrail up now temporary, the problem with a guardrail temporary is the front of the car, even if you were to bump it on the guardrail on purpose for a second, it's too far back and will now be partially out in the drive lane. That's why if we do a temporary, it will be the stops, because the front of the car hangs over, not the wall, but hangs over, and the stops pick it up on the tire. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Did I see any more? Did I ever see another question? Or are we all, oh, Dr. Lang.
Hey,
Yeah.
John, I'm sorry. Do you mind going back to the Westlands Kitchen for a minute, or do you want
Sure.
to? The only thing I wanted to mention on this is I just want to be careful. I think we're taking the credit twice. So if you reduce.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yep. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I just didn't want to get through
Nope.
this and have to go back. If you take it down low on the revolving.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Sorry about that.
Take it up top.
Yep.
So I don't know is it easier for you to, I guess it's the same. The borrow number is the same because the 70.
Right. Exactly. Thank you for, thank you for pointing that out. And then going through, just working our way back down from the top, just ask for committee comments and that about that for project 12, the staff vehicle, where one of them is definitely in poor condition. Does a majority of the committee feel that that's a good worthwhile project to add 61,000 in there just so we can replace one of those?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then working our way down, if anyone has, Darlene, if we go down to 18 and plug in 75,000 for that Parks truck, and then zero out project 16, which is the pickup, just based on the Public Works Department's priority ranking on those trucks, it will add 25,000, but the truck that's in the worst condition will be replaced. And then working our way down, let's see, 818. Let's see, this funds. I'm just scanning through. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to jump in. Darlene's just adjusting that, so it's back. The kitchen remodel is back to the original price, and then we'll just show the revolving fund contribution at the bottom. The South Row Kitchen project is funded, the Parker lift. My thought on the project 24, the ductwork service, is that, and I'm open to discussion, as I was hoping that could be funded in a larger HVAC project for the schools that may be coming. That's my thinking there. I'm open to listening to other committee members. And I believe that's, let's see, that's
John, do you mean there is one coming that this might be included in, or?
a study was just performed, and it's, I mean, for our committee, it's really too early to have the, to be able to go through it and have the numbers and everything. But based on a study that was performed, I mean, down the road, and Paul may be able to speak to this, and or Dr. Lang, I can say that, be outside of the normal capital planning process, but there will need to be some HVAC upgrades at a number of school buildings.
So John,
Yes, Jeff.
if that were to be the case when they were going through checking out all the systems, if there were to be a problem, do you think that could be handled under the townwide project? If there needed to be a fix?
Are you talking on project 24?
Right.
Yep.
So
Yeah, let me defer that to Gary. If
Yeah.
a large HVAC project comes to fruition, which we think it will, would it be possible to add that project 24 work into that?
It would be possible. The only issue with that is the numbers that we have put forward so far, that's not included in that number. So it would rise again. Just to let everyone know.
Okay.
but I guess if there were just like a minor fix that needed to be taken care of, that you found when you're cleaning the vents, going through everything, could that be covered as opposed to the whole 129? Do you think, Gary?
Yeah, a possibility, but that still doesn't clean the ductwork.
Right.
That's
Okay.
the problem, Jeff. I agree. I mean, but if you were doing your assessment, and you found that, actuator or something wasn't working, sure, without a doubt, it would be. That's part of the group of monies there that is listed basically for parts on that, but it would not clean it.
Okay, thank you.
And the issue we're having, Jeff, just to let you know, it's not an issue, but Kathleen just finished 2 projects, one at the Harrington and one at the Byam, which is replacing the units in those kitchens. And during that, I would say maybe a quarter of that ductwork ended up getting done or changed based on that. So now you have some done and some not. So it really makes sense to finish it up. Could there be a possible reduction, in my opinion, of the 129? There probably could be with the portion that Kathleen did. I'd imagine you could probably take 20,000 off of that and do the rest for the 109. I mean, that's the only other thing I would consider because of what we know is done.
Right.
And that's another possibility if that's what the committee wants to look at.
Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
Would the committee be opposed to partially funding that?
John, this is Paul Cohen. I
Yep.
think it rolls into the whole HVAC school project, which realistically is going to be a 7-figure project.
Mhm.
So my sense would be I think we just address all the school HVAC in a comprehensive manner. As you know, we're literally going through each system, each building, unit by unit, piece by piece, as per the presentation to the school committee two evenings ago. And then there'll be an article I plan to place an article on the spring annual town meeting warrant that right now it's a sum of money. But as that gets clarified, then we will advance that forward, and present that to the school committee, select board, and finance committee. Because as was noted Tuesday night at the school committee meeting, it's really a necessity, not only for the COVID situation, but going forward to have a healthy school environment.
Hey, John, it's Jay. I just wanted to kind of echo what Paul said. When I'm fine with that from the school perspective, if Jeff is, I think the timing becomes an issue on this one. So like this capital plan will ultimately go forward to town meeting in April, and then funds would be available in July. I think it would actually, make a lot of sense to look at this in relation to the other HVAC work that's going to be done. If the vendors are already in the system and they're going through identifying things, certainly they can fix something if they find that it's broken, or at least they're going to be able to quantify and give us an actual, probably more firm number on whatever kind of a additional remedy might be necessary. And it would just be as timely to put that in with the other HVAC project, because again, that would come along the lines around the same time, July 1. So I think that's actually fine. It's not that but I want people to know, it's not that we're not going to look at it now. If something is broken, they're going to fix it while it's there. I just think that it would be fine to put it, it might actually make more sense to have it be part of the other HVAC larger scale project. They'll avoid duplication of projects too.
All right, thank you, Jay. So making all the adjustments we talked about, our revised project total, after you subtract out the funds from the child care revolving fund, is now at $3,818,974. Would any committee members like to speak about any project or any of the adjusted totals? Or I'm not seeing anybody. If anyone wants to raise their hand, please do, or get my attention. And
John, I just wanted to mention that I think based on the ones I submitted and what I saw others submitting, we're pretty on target for the ones we wanted to do. So I think it came out really good with some of the adjustments.
Right. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for those worksheets have worked out well, because in prior years, we would literally start with a blank slate and going through, it would just be really tedious going through every single project, but this helps us kind of, see if the project has wide support, and it really does help us, move along. It's the amount of projects that we borrow, it's just slightly over the 3.8 million, but I mean, it's not a significant amount. If the committee feels comfortable at this point, I would entertain a vote. If anyone wants to speak, please do so. I'm open to comments or suggestions. If no comments, I'd entertain a motion to approve the capital plan for FY22 as presented, with the project total is $3,893,974, less $75,000 of child care revolving fund revenue, for a net amount borrowed of $3,818,974. Would someone like to make a motion to that effect that's a committee member?
I guess I move that the committee approves the capital plan budget of $3,818,974 as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Jeff. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Amina. I'm just going to ask for a roll call vote, and I'll just go through the committee members. Mike Curran.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes for Mike. Christopher LaValle.
Yes.
Yes for Chris. Jill.
Yes.
Kenny. Yes for Jill. Jeff.
Yes.
Doherty. Yes for Jeff. Amina Langford. Yes for Amina. And I will vote yes, and Darlene's a non-voting member. So that's, okay, so that's, I hope I didn't miss anyone. I think that should be everyone. So we have a 6-0 vote. It's unanimous. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John.
For that.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Next on the agenda we have some minutes from prior meetings. I want to thank Vivian Merrill for the quick turnaround. When we meet weekly, it can be difficult sometimes. There's a lot of detail in the meetings, excuse me, of the minutes, but hopefully everyone had a chance to review the minutes from December 3rd. Okay, everyone's saying. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented from our December 3rd meeting. Do I have a motion?
Before that happens, I just want to make one comment.
Yes.
It shows that I was in attendance. I actually wasn't there that day.
Okay, thank you, Amina. We'll correct that. Oops. Okay, Mark, Amina is absent. Thank you for that. Any other corrections? Okay, not seeing any member. I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes of December 3rd as corrected.
I move to accept the minutes of December 3rd meeting as corrected.
Okay, motion by Chris, and do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. All those in favor of approving the minutes of December 3rd as corrected, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. Oh, and Amina's, yep. One abstention for Amina. And all remaining members indicate approval. Thank you. Next, we have the minutes from December 10th. Just ask everyone, hopefully everyone had a chance to review those. And please be sure to check the attendance just to make sure that I have that correct. If everyone's had a chance to review the minutes from December 10th, I'd entertain a motion to accept those as presented.
I move to accept the December 10th minutes as presented.
Okay, motion by Chris. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. All those in favor of approving the minutes from December 10th, please indicate aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, it looks unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Unless anybody has any discussion or questions, I believe that concludes the business that we have on the agenda. I don't see anybody from the press tonight. It looks like we have all either committee members or staff. Let me just review to make sure if we have anybody from the public. And I'm not seeing anyone. Does anyone wish to make any comments or have any questions? If not, our committee meets seasonally, as you know. This is the first step in the process. The next step is the capital budget will be presented at a joint meeting coming up in January. From there, it will be discussed at the Finance Committee, and then from there it goes on to town meeting, and ultimately town meeting will have final approval. But I do want to thank everyone for their input and their time reviewing all the projects, and also to all the department heads that have joined us over the past few weeks to explain their projects and the needs.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Likewise.
Thank you, everyone. If nobody has any further comments, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Motion by Chris. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. All those in favor of adjourning this meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy
Happy holidays,
everyone.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.